Hello, in this tutorial we'll cover how to add a new RepInfo network model to a project, how to populate it by searching for existing RepInfo and graph labels, and how to expand the network and add more graph labels to it. To create a new RepInfo model, we select a preservation project, then from File do New RIN Model and give it a name. And do Finish. The easiest way to build a RepInfo network model is to use one that already exists. We can search RepInfo registries for RepInfo objects and graph labels. Let's start by dragging a new RI data object or RIDO onto the canvas. We select it and right click and then choose Search Registry for Graph Labels RepInfo from the context menu. The search dialog has 3 text input boxes and a pair of radio buttons. The radio buttons let us choose whether to search for graph labels or RI objects. Every RI and graph label in a registry has a unique ID. If we know that, we can put it into the first box. For example, you could copy it from the ID property in another RIDO. The keyword/category box is more general purpose. If we're searching for a graph label, whatever we put in here is matched against the graph label keywords. So PDF should find all graph labels that are concerned with PDF documents, for example. When searching for RI objects, there's no keyword search available, but we can search for RI by category. This is a substring search, so if we put document in here, it will search for all RepInfo that has a category that includes the string document. The third box is only appropriate when we're searching for RepInfo objects. If we have the ID for a particular graph label, we can search for all RepInfo that uses that graph label. We'll see later there are situations where this is very useful. Let's do a search for graph labels about NetCDF. So we select graph label and in keyword category box we type NetCDF and click on search. This gives us a table of results. Each row is a graph label that matched the NetCDF search string, and for each row we see the name, the ID and the source registry of the graph label. So let's select one and click OK. What this has done is it has added the details of the graph label to our RIDO, and it has added the graph itself to the canvas. So it has added 2 more objects to the canvas, a structure child and an other child. We searched for and chose a graph label, so our top RIDO contains details of the graph label. But suppose we wanted to add some RepInfo details as well. That is, we wanted to find a particular RepInfo object that uses this graph label. We can do that again by clicking on the RIDO and choosing Search. This time we get a slightly different version of the search dialog. There's no radio buttons and the graph label ID box is pre-filled with the ID of the graph label of this particular RIDO, and the other boxes cannot be changed. In other words, when we have a RIDO that has an existing graph label, all we can search for are RepInfo that use that graph label. So let's go ahead and search. And this table of results shows us RepInfo that uses this particular graph label. In this case, there is only one, but there could be more. So if we select this and say OK, we can see that the RI details have been added to our RepInfo data object, and the name has changed to reflect the name of the RI. If we now select one of the children, we can see that it contains details of a particular RepInfo object, but has no graph label details in that. Now every RepInfo object has an associated graph label, but we've chosen not to show it yet Now if we right-click on this object, we can see an expand from registry operation. What this does is go back to the registry, retrieve the graph label for this Rido's RepInfo object, and add its details to our RepInfo network model. So let's do that here. So this adds the graph for our RepInfo object to our RepInfo network model, and the details of the graph, the name and description, etc., are added to the RepInfo data object. So this way we can use the RepInfo toolkit to explore selectively the virtual RepInfo network that contains a particular RepInfo object by selecting and expanding leaves to display as much of the network as we want.